Hi, readers. So I've been calling you readers because obviously you're readers, but you are also writers. And you might be thinking, what? Mr. Moscato, this is your reading lesson. Stop telling us about writing. Well, no. Since you are also awesome writers, you know that writers pay attention to other authors' writing, which are the books we read. So, writing and reading go hand in hand because as a reader, you sometimes need to put on your writer's mind and pay attention to the choices the other writer makes when you're reading the book. And ask yourself, why did the writer choose to do that? So, today I want to teach you that it's important when we read nonfiction to be aware that the author made particular choices. A lot of times we call this author's purpose. It's important to ask, why might have the author chosen to include this bit of information, to structure it in this particular way? What does the author want me to know and think when I read this part of the text? So let's try this work together by revisiting Frogs and Toads. And I'm going to start with the very beginning of the book. And I'm going to ask myself, why did the author choose to start his book off this way? Why would they put this information first? All right, let's read it together and then ask those questions. In and out of water. Frogs and toads belong to a group of animals called amphibians. An amphibian is an animal that can live on land and in water. Most amphibians spend the first part of their lives swimming like fish. As adults, they can move about on land, so they spend less time in the water. Adult amphibians breathe with lungs. They also breathe through their skin. Amphibians are cold-blooded. Their body temperature does not always stay the same as ours does. They are as warm or as cold as the air around them. And here's a picture. Okay. So why did the author choose to start his book off with this information? Why did they choose to structure it this way? So I'm already noticing, I would think out of all of our text structures, I believe this follows like a boxes and bullets or a description or main idea and supporting details, because it's just kind of giving us information about amphibians and what frogs and toads are. But let's push our thinking a little bit more. Now, I can't call up the author and ask him why he decided to put this information first. So I have to use my own mind, and we'll use words such as maybe or could it be to ask those questions, since we won't ever really know the answer. So maybe the author wanted me to know something that makes frogs and toads special, which is that they are an amphibian and cold-blooded. Maybe he wanted to start that off to make me get interested. But could it also be that the author wants me to think that frogs and toads are more similar than different when reading the book? Or maybe the author wants me to know about where they live and what they are before learning about how they live and the deeper information. Maybe he just wanted to give me a basic overview about what frogs and toads are before diving into the deep information. Again, I don't really know if any of my questions are correct or why, but it's really important as readers to think about the author's purpose and why the author chose to do that. Just like how when you wrote your informational chapter books, you thought carefully about which chapter came first and then next and what information you were going to put in. So I was able to stop and jot those questions I had. And again, we don't know the answers to them, but you can write them down to push your thinking. Now it's your turn to try. Now, instead of thinking about why the author started off the book a certain way, let's think about why an author would end a book a certain way. After all, that's kind of what sticks with you, the ending, right? Anytime you watch a movie or a TV show or read a book, the end is what you really remember. So remember this chapter on No More Golden Toads? Let's reread it again, but this time think, why did the author include this information? And why did he decide to put it last? Frogs and toads are important. They eat harmful insects that could destroy crops or carry diseases. Unfortunately, there are fewer frogs and toads than there used to be. Some people think the reason is that houses and factories have been built where frogs and toads used to live. Other people think that water pollution has killed most of the frogs and toads. The beautiful golden toads on this page may already be extinct. Extinct means that a plant or animal no longer exists. No one has seen a golden toad in several years. Scientists are sorry that they did not have more time to learn about this fabulous toad. Okay, readers, think in your mind, why did the author decide to finish his book with this chapter and that information? Turn and talk to someone in your family, tell your dog, tell it to me through the camera. Why do you think the author chose to finish off with this information in this chapter? I'll give you a couple seconds to think about that and say it out loud. Remember, we're not going to be able to call up the author and ask. So to use those keywords like could it be or maybe it's because. Okay, so were some of you thinking similar to me that after we read an entire book about frogs and toads, you started kind of to care about them? So then they finish off with telling you that you just learned all this information about them. Guess what? They could go extinct. So maybe now that you care about them, you'll want to take action and do something. Maybe some of you were thinking that, wow, I noticed that this followed a cause and effect text structure. And the reason they did that is instead of us telling a solution, instead of it being problem and solution, they want us to maybe come up with some solutions on our own of how we can help the toads, the golden toads. All right? Or you could have thought many other things, and guess what? That's all great. So remember, readers, sometimes when you read, you have to put on your writing lens and think about the author's purpose and including information and choosing text structures. All right. So as you continue to read your nonfiction books on Epic or books you have at home, remember to think about author's purpose. Today, you are going to be reading a nonfiction book and working on those nonfiction choice board activities and slides that we did before spring break. Remember, you just choose one activity that you haven't done yet. All right, off you go.